on a negative note.
Then let me start it on a positive note for you.
Yes, you probably have to, because so many things I saw this weekend just.
Yeah.
It's like I've become a philosopher.
Yeah.
Asking questions. Why are people this? Why are people some way?
Let me do positive for you.
Give me a positive story.
You are Liverpool Football Club. If you keep behaving like that, it will be another 30 years before you win the title. Roy Keane's Savages Jogging Club for making excuse after excuse.
Godfrey, is that your positive?
Yes.
Okay, Bernard, my positive for you. Go Google Lord Kitchener later and enjoy some of his songs. They are really, really, really nice.
Bernard, Lord Kitchener.
Let me. Okay. So those were the two, Godfred Akotoboafo and Kojo Boatin. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
very
Bernard.
much,
How are you?
But I do agree with you, Bernard. A lot of things to be upset about,
Charlie.
contemplative about, things that let you think, over the weekend.
I was watching CNR this weekend on Saturday, and I think just destroyed my mood over the weekend. Yeah. Because we found a report on what actually happened. You tried to explain it on Thursday?
Friday?
Yeah, Thursday. And they actually explained what happened.
Charlie.
How the place was, because you can't reverse. The place is dark. They attack 2 cars. Ambulance comes in. They start shooting. Shoot the driver in the eye. Molest the official in
EMT.
Come in. It's So I was asking myself, how does a society create such a person or a group of people like this? And then somebody said, well, the question I'm asking is the ultimate question of mankind. How does a person get to a point where they believe they can do such a thing? Mm-hmm. And I think we should all think about that question, because our success and our happiness in the world cannot just depend on what we feel. It has to be much bigger, and we have to think about such things, because for me, it's almost like a unacceptably bad thing to happen to a person. I'll let you listen to some of the things they said. The report spoke to the victim's wife, spoke to the lady who was in the car, and all kinds of people. And the irony, there's a police station in the town which has not been commissioned, so it's not being used. The town where the thing happened, there's a police station there. We're talking about the attack on the ambulance and the killing. In fact, the man has died. The driver of the ambulance has died. And they spoke to his wife and his brother. Anyway, I didn't want to spoil the morning, but these are things we should think about. Let's start with a graphic.
Well, there's a lot of COVID stories, Bernard. COVID everywhere. COVID. Front page has a photo of the Most Reverend Palmer Buckle, and it says, COVID is real. It's evil. Dangerous virus, Palmer Buckle affirms. Self-medication adding to risk of COVID-19 morbidity. This is coming from Dr. Oliver Comey, good friend of ours here. President to join campaign to consume cocoa products. And Respondents Council grills Metil Nunu today.
Now the Chronicle, sad story, a Dukrom robbery. Woman delivers safely, but ambulance driver dies. Okay. So it's both a good and bad side. The woman has delivered. Now, other stories from the Chronicle. NPP chair locks up school block over alleged non-payment of contract money. Pupils and teachers stranded. DCE condemns action. Muntaka flip-flops on accusation against judiciary, and how Oforiatta managed Ghana's public debt.
The Daily Statesman also goes with that. Records vindicate Oforiatta as a better manager of public debt. Muntaka apologizes to Supreme Court over bribery claims is also on the front page. And the announcement of the passing of the Osumanche.
Now, Ghanaian Times, illegal entry into Ghana. 51 foreigners deported after being intercepted at Esikuma Inland Checkpoint in Volta region. West Blue gets 2 ISO certifications for quality business. COVID-19 outbreak in schools. Don't panic, parents told. And election petitions against MPs in limbo. High courts yet to fix dates for hearing.
Front page of the Ghanaian publisher. Armed thugs invade Adan to stop Songosol project. Ministry of Health recruits doctors, dentists. And the Kenoforiatta story is also on the front page of this paper.
The New Crusading Guide also has a lead story from Adan. Fallout from Songo clashes. We never attacked Electrochem Ghana. Adan residents open up, finger divine, I go home, and knee kote Johnny. Oforiatta's superior public debt management record. It's also in the paper. Pay us or we hit the streets. NIA drivers used for COVID-19 lockdown rounds demand. Tomato drivers, buyers hit again. 2 dead, 1 wounded. That's also a very sad story that we need to check. And first phase of poultry processing plant in Ejiso commences.
Front page of the Herald newspaper, Bernard. Akufo-Addo government chokes police service with contract officers. Personnel crying over career progression. Gabriel Tredaku changing narrative on the Japan scandal as Ken Oforiatta's vetting draws near.
Now the finder, public debt, Oforiatta and the records in the mix of complex challenges. So Oforiatta seemed to be on all the front pages that I have. All the newspapers I have, he's on the front page. Muntaka retracts, apologizes for bribery claim against Supreme Court judge. Supreme Court expunges 5 paragraphs of Metal Nuno's statement. Parliament tightens COVID-19 protocols. Christian Council urges member churches to enforce COVID-19 protocols and eat cocoa products to boost immune system to fight COVID-19. This is the Cocoa Boss CEO speaking.
And finally from me, Bernard, from the front page of the Economy Times. Budget deficit slows for first 11 months of 2020. Flourishing Ponzi schemes. Intensive public education needed.
Now the Ghanaian Observer, managing Ghana's public debt under Akufo-Addo, Mahama. This is another Oforiatta story. Oforiatta's superior public debt management record unveiled. Muntaka apologizes, retracts bribery allegations against Supreme Court judge. Bawumia prays for renovating Nimes Islamic Research Institute. Christian Council to crack the whip on churches flouting COVID-19 protocols. And Osumanche Ni Kinkadouna the 4th passes on.
Let me take you online. CitiNewsroom.com. Staff family demand justice for late ambulance driver. Health Ministry to begin recruitment of doctors and dentists tomorrow. Danger looms if aged, others with underlying conditions are not vaccinated. This is Omani Buama, and this is in reaction to something Professor Dodu is said to have said. We'll come to that shortly. Also, Ghana's ability to collect data on COVID-19 limited. This is KCCR researcher. Meanwhile, in politics, Mohammed's third witness, Rojo Metinunu, to be cross-examined today. And still on CitiNewsroom.com, 22-year-old woman crashed to death by tipper truck in the eastern region. Driver dies in fatal crash on the Suhum in Sawam highway. Lots of car incidents on the website, and of course, 11-year-old Na Koshi Manyo Plunge is the new spelling bee champion of Ghana. CitiBusinessNews.com. Rice farmers attribute losses to lack of combine harvesters. Also, international tourist visits to Ghana decreased by almost 70% in 2020. Guys, this is serious. And Ghana UK finalized negotiation on new interim trade partnership agreement, and government pledges to intensify efforts to add value to cocoa. Now, if you go to my journal online, children and pregnant women and people with underlying health conditions will not be vaccinated. This is Dr. Dodu. Also, Joe Jackson tests positive for COVID-19, and Muntaka retracts apologizes for bribery claim against Supreme Court judge. If you go to Star News, 2 female students of St. Louis JHS kidnapped in Kumasi. We had that in the news this morning. Police begin investigation into threats on 7 Seas Salt Company. And I have COVID-19. This is Dr. Archbishop Palmer Buckle. That story doing really well. If you go to the GNA, mixed feelings, great announcement of death of Osu Manche, and Viv commended for innovating Islamic Center at Nima. All right, let's start with the first few stories.
Yeah, and I'll start with COVID. Front page of the Daily Graphic says COVID-19 is real, but I want to start with the story of self-medication coming from Dr. Oliver Komi. The acting director of the Ghana Infectious Diseases Center, Dr. Joseph Ajete Oliver Komi, has advised the public against self-medication and rather seek early medication to help avert the rise in the rate of fatalities from the COVID-19. He said self-medication was becoming a major problem in managing the national COVID-19 burden. Dr. Oliver Komi, who is also a member of the National COVID-19 Management Team, said there was enough evidence to prove that apart from the fact that the mutated strain of the virus was causing severe disease in people exposed to it than the traditional form of the virus, self-medication was a major phenomenon complicating the already bad situation and contributing to an increase in mortality. The acting director of the GIDC said with information now widely available, people were resorting to self-medication. Unfortunately, quote, unfortunately, we have people who have tested for the virus in private facilities and are positive, and people who feel they are exposed to the virus are resorting to either prescriptions on the internet or prescriptions over the phone from some health professionals.
Still on COVID.
Yes, still on COVID. Center spread of the Ghanaian Times. COVID-19 outbreak in schools. Don't panic, parents told. Now, the story says, following infections of the coronavirus disease in some schools in the country, health and medical experts are calling for more proactive measures to contain the disease. Although they say there is no need for parents and the general public to panic over the issue, they say the government and relevant bodies concerned with handling COVID-19 in the country must be more proactive. Speaking on TV3's Weekend Current Affairs program, Key Points, Dr. Yabediako, an immunologist, said there was no need for unnecessary panic, despite school children returning to the school to schools for academic work. He explained that schools are to be kept open to enable students to learn and progress. And he cited the example of Central Region. He says, because there are a lot of high schools in the region, we should find the resources and do random sampling to know the burden in schools in the region and adjust strategies accordingly.
There are a couple of stories on vaccines which I thought we should bring to you. Children, pregnant women, and people with underlying health conditions will not be vaccinated. Now, this is DG of the Ghana Standards Authority, Dr. Alex Dodu. He has revealed that children, pregnant women, people with allergies and underlying health conditions, and the aged will not be vaccinated against the novel coronavirus. Now, the country is expected to receive, the story says, 19.5 million doses of COVID-19. The figures vary depending on who is talking to by the end of June. Now, speaking on Newsfile on Saturday, the Ghana Standards Authority boss said normally, for starters, children will not be included. They are more protected and they are not passing on the virus. Those with allergies, those with underlying health conditions, and those whose immune systems appear compromised will not be vaccinated. He explained that pregnant women will also not be vaccinated because there's no scientific data to prove that the virus will be safer for them and their unborn babies when administered on them. He, however, stated that a doctor could recommend for a pregnant woman to be vaccinated after measuring the risk. Now, reacting to this, and this story is on Citi newsroom.com, Dr. Manibuama, a former minister of many things and himself a doctor, has essentially said that he's surprised that the government will not administer COVID-19 doses to aged people and people with underlying conditions. It's an article he wrote. He says, if this is implemented, it will be a major concern in our fight against COVID-19. He says, I was shocked to the marrow when I read Ghanaians with underlying health conditions and the aged will not be vaccinated against the novel coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. Mr. President, are they not within the domain of the prioritized people in the US? Dr. Bama, who is also a medical doctor and a health policy planning expert, further demanded explanation on the rationale behind the move. So, he actually issued a statement in reaction to what Dr. Dodu said. So it's something we can go into later.
Well, interesting. Also quite interesting is the news coming in from South Africa that the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine is not something.
Well, a couple more issues. Palmer Buckle, and then we'll move to other stories.
I'll end with Palmer Buckle. But COVID-19 cases rise in Western region, and the reason why I'm using the story is because the rises have been attributed to water rationing.
Hey.
And so the Public Health Emergency Management Committee of the Western Region has expressed worry over the surge in new COVID-19 cases in the region due to the disregard for the safety protocols by members of the general public, alongside water rationing in various parts of the region. Most public places visited in the regional capital, including bus terminals, market offices, and shops, had no water in hand hygiene equipment positioned at various entrances for visitors. Even though the other main critical means of infection remains respiratory mode, people were still not wearing face masks. They were seen coughing, laughing out loud, sneezing, and talking at public places and in vehicles without the mask on. Now, this area basically has had problems with water. And when the Daily Graphic contacted the Western Regional Office of the Ghana Water Company on the erratic water supply, the Public Relations Director said they had started rationing water due to the low levels of raw water at the intake point.
Galamsey
says that we started rationing water from last year because we are in the dry season coupled with low level of rainfall last year. The only way out is currently to ensure we conserve water and use what we have wisely.
All right, let's end with the Pambako story, which is on the front page of the graphic.
Yes,
it's also in quite a number of...
COVID-19 is real. From coach from first-hand experience, the COVID-19 is real and an evil of a virus. These were the words of the Vice President of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, the Most Reverend Charles Gabriel Palmer-Buckle, after he had tested positive for the infection. The Most Reverend Palmer-Buckle, who is receiving treatment at the Ga East Infectious Diseases Center, has consequently called for unity of purpose and focus in the fight against the pandemic.
And he recommends some 5 P's: prayer, protocol, prayer, protocol, prayer.
I like that. Now let me take you to the Eastern region. Staff family demand justice for late ambulance service driver. It's on Citi News and also in the Chronicle.
Yeah, let me give you the Chronicle's angle. An ambulance driver, a senior emergency technician, Abraham Tete, who was shot by highway robbers on the Sobanya Edukrom Road while transporting a woman in labor has died. The late Abraham Tete, 40, until his demise at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra on Saturday, was the Yilo Krobo municipal officer in charge of the National Ambulance Service.
Charlie. And he was driving the thing himself.
He was driving the thing.
Charlie.
Now, the story is that he was transporting a pregnant woman to the hospital. And when they got to a point around Asesieso, there was a robbery operation happening. The robbers thought the ambulance was a police dispatch vehicle, so they started shooting into the ambulance. And they robbed the ambulance, they robbed the pregnant woman. And the sad news is that senior EMT Abraham Tete has passed on. But the woman, the pregnant woman, has delivered and she's okay.
So in our story on Citi, a couple of angles are given. Rachel Owusu, who was the emergency medical technician on duty, who narrowly escaped death because he says they actually shot into the back of the vehicle as well, narrates the harrowing ordeal the team racing to save the life of a woman in labor and an unborn child went through at the hands of the robbers, which led to the driver suffering 2 gunshot wounds and an injury in the eye. Now, the deputy Eastern Regional Administrative Manager for the Ambulance Service, Felix Owusu, led a delegation to the family of the late Abraham Tete Asomanya on Saturday to officially inform them of the passing of their son and commiserate with them. Then there's a human interest angle. Abraham Tete was an instrumentalist in his church, left behind a wife and 2 children. Vida Tay, the widow, could not hold her tears, was still in denial, appealed to the government to assist cater for her children. He was saving a lot of lives, so the government should come and support me. He was my everything. We've lost everything. How can I live and take care of the children without my husband? Now, the unconscious driver was transferred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital on life support at the intensive care unit of the facility. We'll bring you the full report later on today.
Now, Godfred has been talking about highway robberies. There's one here in the New Crusading Guide. Tomato drivers bias hit again. 2 dead, 1 wounded. Now, Ernest Addo writes that information reaching the New Crusading Guide indicates that another series of attacks have been launched by bandits in the Upper East on passengers on 2 tomato trucks as well as another haulage truck, killing 2 people and wounding 1. The Ghana National Tomato Traders and Transporters Association say the tragedy, their sources say the tragedy occurred last Friday at dawn around a community called Tongo, a few kilometers into Bolgatanga. The victims, according to official sources, are Dominic Barr, and he was attached to the bias at the Accra House of Folk Park branch. He was brutally attacked and got seriously wounded after struggling with the bandits on the lonely stretch to Navrongo and Paga. Now, the second incident, which occurred the same period and along the same stretch, involved another cargo truck manned by Alaj Moro, who was shot dead in cold blood and has been sent to the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital morgue. That truck also ferries traders from the same branch in Accra. And the driver's assistant, Obed Mensah, who managed to survive the shooting incident, got seriously wounded and was rushed to the Bolgatanga Hospital. In yet another incident, a cargo truck which was loaded with cement was attacked and its driver gunned down, according to Bolgatanga local sources. Details of the victim were sketchy as the paper went to press. But the New Crusading Guide gathered that the police are on the alert and have launched investigations to track the bandits.
Apart from the robbery, there are so many stories on crashes. I don't want to go into the details, but here are just a flavor of the stories. Driver dies in fatal crash on Sum in Sam Highway. This is from Sunday. Same day, Eastern Region, 22-year-old woman crashed to death by tipper truck. This is at a place near Akusombo. Then Garu residents decry spate of accidents involving tricycles, all within just one smooth strike. Then there's a final one here I thought we should talk about. Ashanti Region, police on manhunt for kidnappers of St. Louis JHS students, 2 girls. Now, police in Ashanti Region are on a manhunt for persons believed to be behind the kidnapping of 2 female students of the St. Louis Junior, not a senior, Junior High School in Kumasi. The 2 girls were abducted on Friday when they picked a taxi home from school. Information suggests the taxi driver kidnapped the students and took them to an obscure area around the Siame magazine. Siame Police Commander Superintendent Imale Siama said investigations are ongoing to try to locate the girls and also have the culprits apprehended.
If you go to page 2 of the Daily Statesman, Bernard, let me take you to Parliament. Muntaka apologizes to Supreme Court over bribery allegation. The NDC Member of Parliament, Faswas Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, has retracted and apologized for the allegation he leveled against the Justice of the Supreme Court concerning the election of the Speaker of Parliament on the night of January 7. The Aswasi legislator had alleged that the Justice of the Supreme Court had tried to bribe an NDC MP to influence her in the election of the Speaker. He specifically alleged that the said Supreme Court judge had asked the NDC MP to vote for Professor Aaron Michael Quay, who contested with Alban Sumana Bagbin in the election. Now, he has issued a statement over the weekend and he has apologized and retracted.
Now, Kojo, let's move to court briefly. The Supreme Court will continue its hearings today. Roger Metununu is going to appear before, and he will be cross-examined via video conference.
Yeah.
And that story is on citynewsroom.com. And it's essentially a summary of what's happened so far. Mohammed's third witness for John Metununu to cross-examine today. It says Robert Joseph Metununu, third witness for John Mahama, the petitioner in the ongoing election petition case, will proceed with his testimony when the Supreme Court resumes hearing today, Monday, 8th February. He may join the hearing via online video conference, and that was done last Friday because Mohammed's counsel had told the court he was unwell. Although his cross-examination was slated for last Friday, it failed to happen following the objections raised by Kotuan Power counsel for Nana Akufo-Addo, who was seeking to have portions of the witness statement expunged. Out of the 32, 5 statements were struck out. The rest were allowed, and he'll be cross-examined today.
And the paragraphs are 4, 5, 6, 7, and 18 of the witness statement. And the 7-member panel ruled that those paragraphs...
Okay, Godfrey, before you come in, I want to take you to Adan again.
Yes, that's the story I wanted to give you. So.
Because our story says police probe shooting of Adan residents following Songo Lagoon protest.
Yes, and the New Crusading guy says Adan residents open a finger diviner go home and Ni Kotejani in the clashes. Now, the story says residents of Adan traditional area in the Greater Accra region have called on the police to speed up investigations into the recent attacks in the communities over the development of the Songo Salt project, since the rebels are not from the communities. Speaking to chiefs and residents of the various communities in Adan regarding the recent publications that they have been attacking Electrotem Ghana Limited because they are against the project, they indicated otherwise. According to them, they are in full support of the project and could not in any way rise against it. They claim some selfish individuals are behind last week's incident, saying that these individuals have imported thugs from a Shaiman community to scuttle site preparations being made by the investor to kickstart the project.
Our story says that police are probing the shooting of Adan residents following the Songo Salt Lagoon protest. Michael Obodu's story says the police in Adan have begun investigations into a shooting incident that saw some 14 people wounded following a protest over the ownership of the Songo Salt Lagoon. Some victims claim the wounds were caused by gunfire from the police. The police have denied the claims. Now, here's the background. This incident comes on the back of protests embarked upon by some indigenes of the area in January. They claimed to be custodial owners of the Songo Lagoon, embarked on a demonstration to protest against the mining lease granted to Electrochem Ghana to mine salt in the area. The mining lease, according to the people, did not take into consideration the economic plight of the locals whose sole livelihoods depends on the project.
It looks like a lot more community engagement needs to be done, because
so there are two views. There's one view that the community people, some may not be happy. The other view is that there are some big people trying to destroy the project.
All right, no problem. Let me take you to this story on the front page of the Herald about contract officers in the Ghana Police Service and personnel crying over career progression. So the paper alleges that some officers and men of the Ghana Police Service are getting angry and crying out against the government over the phenomenon of senior officers who have gone on retirement but are being retained on contract, thus blocking career progression of other serving officers. It goes on to list starting from the IGP, and then according to the paper, other names available to it are that of the head of the Finance Directorate, George Tufor. He retired in 2019 but is still at post and has just received another extension. Talks about COP Duku, the Ashanti Regional Commander, who retired as a DCOP in 2018 but is still at post and has even been promoted and given a further 2-year contract. Then there's COP Asuma Hine, who has just received a 4-year contract. He retired as an ACP but is now a COP and is from the Human Resource Department.
Okay. I want us to end with rice and chocolate.
Okay.
Rice and chocolate.
I like both.
Citi Business News. Rice farmers attribute losses to lack of combined harvesters. Rice farmers at Fumbisi and Tono in the Busa South district of Kasina Nankana in Upper East have attributed heavy losses they've incurred on the delays in harvesting due to the lack of combined harvesters. The farmers say they could not harvest their produce on time, leading to the drying up of the rice in the valley, while some were destroyed by a bushfire. Most of the farmers have packed their dried harvest into their houses, as buyers prefer rice that still has some moisture and want to take advantage of the situation to buy rice at cheaper prices. This was the situation that led some men to start the whole Made in Ghana rice campaign. You remember they were in the north, spoke to some rice farmers who were complaining that they couldn't get buyers for their rice, and that led to a whole campaign. Now we're told They don't have enough combined harvesters, and this is farmers in the Fumbisi Rice Valley.
Could you ask a story about
the question
threshers?
is the things that the Ministry of Agric spent a lot of money to buy that were supposed to be used to deal with some of these issues. About 700 threshers for rice, maize, and other cereals. Where are the threshers?
That's a good question.
We bought threshers that were supposed to use to fix some of these problems. Ministry of Food and Agric.
Where are the threshers?
And
Finally,
why are they not being used?
government pledges to intensify efforts in adding value to cocoa. This is Cocoa Week, ending up by Valentine. As Ghana prepares to celebrate National Chocolate Week, stakeholders in the cocoa sector have pledged to intensify efforts to add more value to the country's cocoa. This week, somebody brought me chocolate he made, a Ghanaian small business, like what they call, it's like Milo. It was pretty cool.
It's fine, eh?
And then somebody also brought me chocolate made by another Ghanaian company. Now, according to the National Chocolate Week people, they want to focus on making beans available to local entrepreneurs to enhance their value addition. Ghana is the second largest exporter of raw cocoa beans globally, but our value addition is low. This week, the government says we should eat chocolate, stay healthy, and grow Ghana.
You should eat Ghana chocolate.
Yes, eat Ghana
Because
chocolate.
you say eat chocolate there.
Yes, yes. So we are eating Ghana chocolate. Thank you, Godfred. Thank you, Kojo. That was a newspaper review. Coming up next is the City Business News. Stay with us.
This is the City Breakfast Show. The city's big